Hello, welcome. I'm in this situation again because I'm doing a lecture tonight, so I'm in lecture mode. But welcome to, I was going to say welcome to Card Magic course, not there, are we? We're welcome to Real Magic Review. I'll get there in the end. And I might as well do the thing now. Please like and subscribe. Please check out cardmagiccourse.com. That's my online card magic course. There's some stuff with it, with all the courses that you get for it. You get everything for your pittance of a monthly fee. And the live sessions and all manner of things. And the live sessions are uploaded every week as well. So you get like 4 hours of stuff a month to watch. And what better way to learn than doing all that? Right, so learn from a pro. That's meant to be a tagline or something. I don't know. That's what the marketing people say, innit? They say something. So I'm going to say learn from a pro. If you like this, you'll love that. There you go. God, blimey. Gold. It's gold, that is. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming, Tom, Dane, and good to see you, Colin. Yay! Look at that. That's good, isn't it? Nice to see you chiming at the Gladwin lecture, Tom. God, it's like a lovely community, isn't it? And it's and lovely it is as well. So I've said all the things, haven't I? Yes, I have. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's hard to. I was trying to get my head around how to describe this, the thing that I want to say, and the only way I can do it really is to. I don't want it to make it seem like when I say the title of this video is "Don't try too hard." I don't mean don't work too hard. That's the kind of difference, and actually by looking at that difference, we can see what I mean. If you see what I mean in a minute. It's a bit similar to last week, as I talked about ego last week, and it was very strange last week. Interesting, because I was talking about ego, and I was talking about that thing of worrying so much about what people think, and weirdly enough, afterwards, I got this real feeling of almost like, anxiety is the wrong word, but a kind of, was that the right thing to share? You know, a real worry, and I don't know where it came from, because I talk about stuff all the time, but it's quite meta, really, because I was kind of worried about what people think, and I've just been talking about not worrying about what people think. And I suppose the point is that I haven't nailed this stuff. I'm not standing here going, hey, you can be like me. I'm nailing it. What I think I have done is become a lot more self-aware in the last few years and become a lot more confident to share my flaws. And actually, I think that when I do, people always go, oh, yeah, me too, when we talk about imposter syndrome and things like that. And I think actually, if we can do loads more of that, we can kind of overcome the challenges. And even though they're all still there, they don't stop us doing what we're going to do, because we kind of know we're normal. We're not on our own. So what I'll do is so when I talk about not trying too hard, I can tell you about my own experiences, and actually a bit of a revelation when I actually stopped trying too hard. So what do I mean by trying too hard? I can just give you examples. When I first became a juggler, back in the day, I kind of got the skill together, and I desperately wanted to be taken seriously as a juggler. Not as in seriously, but kind of like, you know, because I'd worked really hard and I'd done the work and I knew some tricks, and I didn't have a lot of experience, but I just loved the idea of being in this group of people and kind of sharing what I knew, and also kind of, I suppose, subconsciously kind of seeming like an expert a bit, you know, if I'm going to be really honest. None of this stuff was going through my head explicitly, you know, but it was kind of like a turn up to gatherings of jugglers and kind of feel desperate that I wanted to put across my how good I was. I wanted to communicate how good I was, and that I wanted to be taken seriously. And actually, if you think about where this stuff comes from, there's a healthy side to this. This comes from our tribal kind of needs. We do need to be taken and accepted by our community, so we do certain things to allow us to do that. But what I found is, looking back, is that I would try so hard to push. All I can describe it is a push. And I'm going to give a few examples of this. So what would I do to do that? I would, whenever I got a chance, I would say something that would communicate my knowledge and expertise. Or whenever I got a chance, I would almost, it's difficult with juggling, but kind of want to show someone something. But the weird irony was I was kind of quite egotistical then, and quite insecure that I wouldn't really show, I wouldn't succeed in that. So I'd kind of try even harder, and there'd be this weird vicious circle of kind of like, I want to show you how good I am, I can do this move, I can do this. Then when it didn't work, I'd have to kind of bolster that up with kind of talking and knowledge. And the reason it didn't work is because I actually wasn't experienced. I might have had the skills and the chops and learned, like we know, if you learn tricks in the bedroom, it doesn't mean I don't mean tricks in the bedroom in that respect. And no, we don't want to go down that route. Sitting at home, let's say sitting at home learning magic tricks. Oh dear me. If you learn a few tricks at home, even that could be taken one or two ways. There's a difference between doing them, isn't there, and then being able to communicate them and do them well and talk about them and teach them and things like that. So that was when I was a juggler, and then later on, we pretty much everything. I kind of got to a level at certain thing, and kind of guitar's a really interesting one. When you see people with guitars, they're really, really interesting. Because you learn a bit on a guitar and you go, oh, I can do some stuff. And then when you're all having a drink and the guitar comes out, you go, right. And you do the same thing. And when you see people that are kind of not that experienced, and I'm not in certain areas of guitar playing, the minute they get that guitar, instead of just playing something nice, what they try and do is kind of do something that shows how fast they can get up the fretboard and stuff. And it's quite funny because what they end up playing is something that is kind of really bad, but fast. And again, I'm talking out of absolute experience here. So there's that. So let's go to magic. When I started going to magic conventions, I was inexperienced. I was an experienced performer. I had a show, but I was an inexperienced magician. I knew the moves. I'd sat at home with my card college, but I couldn't converse very easily with other magicians. I didn't have the knowledge because I hadn't been in it long enough. And what I found again was that I was doing this desperate thing of really trying to show that I knew my stuff. And if someone wanted to learn something, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong in learning something, but I didn't, again, really have the knowledge to back it up. And what I found is that after any kind of meeting at a conventional summit, I'd feel quite exhausted. I'd feel a bit like I hadn't been myself. I didn't feel that happy. It was like, I didn't really get across. I was kind of putting on a facade, a front. So then I kind of got out of magic, all that kind of stuff happened. But actually before that, I kind of went back and started doing the work. And actually I think what happened is when I started doing things like leadership work and personal development work, I was reading a lot about, we've got to get to a point where we're just kind of happy being who we are and happy being flawed. And if we don't know something, that's absolutely fine as well. It's kind of the equivalent, for a while in magic, I think I was the person, like as a bloke, if the car breaks down, I've got to know about cars, so I'll kind of pop the hood of the car and have a look. And of course, I don't know what I'm looking for. I wouldn't unless the thing was on fire. I can't tell you anything that I'm looking at, but I still do it because I want to look knowledgeable. It's that need. It's like when people ask you directions, instead of going, actually, I don't know. Even though I've been living here 10 years, I'm not sure. You kind of go, I think it. Do you know? I'm not sure, but I think it's something. I don't know. And in fact, I did that exact thing today. It was hilarious. I went to the gym this morning. Guys, can you get through that way? And I spent about 10 minutes. I could have just said, no idea, mate. Anyway, but that's a really good example of exactly what I'm talking about. It's that thing of really trying to judge. So now, and I would say relatively recently, is getting to a place to kind of go, you know what? I don't know about that thing. Can you tell me about that? And be a student again and not have to look knowledgeable. And the weird thing that happens is the minute you kind of go, actually, it's okay for me not to know. Or importantly, even if I do know something, it's okay for me to give the baton to someone else. I don't have to kind of be the knowledgeable one. And I've seen this so many times in not just in magic meetings, but in meetings as general, when I do leadership work and you get this kind of competition between people to prove who knows the most, and you get it with performers. A few times I've sat around having dinner, sometimes with performers, and there's this kind of desperation for one to show you that they know more than the other, and they're look at this, and don't get me wrong, I love people showing me stuff and people showing each other. It's great when you're jamming, that's a different thing, but that you can feel it when it becomes a kind of competitive thing. And I find it exhausting. And the paradox is that once you stop trying and you just let your work or your magic or your personality or yourself just speak for itself, the weird thing is that stuff tends to start happening. You improve, you become more confident, because it's that balance of you don't you don't care as much, because you kind of go, do you know what, if this person doesn't think I'm clever, or if they don't think I'm the best, that's kind of fine as well. And I've actually found it very challenging sometimes when you are trying to show someone, when you're jamming or something like that, and there's sometimes a person that just needs to come in and show and say, oh, actually, no, what you can do is this, what you can do, and they're trying to improve everything for you, and that's totally fine. But I think feedback requires a kind of permission, or sort of like, hey, actually, I noticed if you do this, when it's different when someone's just trying to kind of jump on top of someone and try and prove themselves that they kind of know more stuff. And there is a place for that. I'm not saying don't have those conversations, but there is a difference. And the reason I'm talking about it is it's a lovely place to be. And this is something about being 47 years of age and realise I really haven't got anything to prove. And even when I've done my best work, it doesn't make me a better person. It's just a lovely thing to share with people. So I'd say if you are kind of at the beginning of your journey, or even not, if you've been in it a while and you do find that same thing that I found, and some of you might be looking at it going, look, I just don't really know what you're talking about. I don't really have that, which is fine. We're all different. This isn't going to appeal to a lot of people, but hopefully it will appeal to some. But if you find yourself feeling that push of, I really need to kind of validation of these people, understand that those people that matter will give you validation anyway, just for being yourself. You don't have to push. And at the beginning I talked about the push. And when I started doing leadership training, I had this same thing. It all came back to me again. I got trained by two other people that'd been in the business like 30 years, and they trained me up as a trainer. And when I did my first few sessions, so they put me in front of the room and said, run this session. In my head, I had this thing of, right, I've got to look good to them, and I've got to look good to the people in front of me. And what I found is that I was just trying to put too many anecdotes, say too many words, say too much stuff. Some of you are probably thinking, I think you're doing that now, Stephen. Yeah, but maybe I am, maybe there is something in that I'm trying to kind of validate. And I think we all do it. There's a healthy level of it. But when I came out, the feedback I got from the guy one of my mentors was, it was great, but you've just got to stop pushing and pull. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, just let it come to you. Just share what you know. Don't feel like you've got, if they don't need much information, it's pretty simple stuff. And just wait for questions and wait for comments. And if there isn't any, it probably means they understand, so don't feel like you've got to fill it. And what I realised is that all that filling, all that over-talking, all that really trying to be knowledgeable was coming from a place of deep insecurity. It was going, I want validation from these people because I feel so much doubt myself. And again, that comes back to imposter syndrome, because some of us, if we get imposter syndrome, and I think most of us do, sometimes often feel like we actually, do I deserve to be here? Do I know enough to be saying this stuff? And it's just going, you know what, yeah, and if some people think not, that's fine. I'm being okay with that. So with that, I'll go to comments. I suppose the takeaway is, just if you're wondering, what is the takeaway, is just put time into that. Put time into actually sitting and deciding who it is you want to be and being okay with that. And, being more clever and more special, it doesn't make you a better person. And it doesn't mean don't work really super hard. I do, because I've got really high standards. I want to be really good. But you can't get to those standards unless you admit your flaws and be really honest about the truth about where you are. So I hope that was helpful. Let's have a look. Do ask any questions. Yeah, it's like a little, all these, Alan and Tom, Dane from Card Magic Course, all say hello to each other. It's lovely. It's live. It's definitely something I need to watch from Dane. When working on an effect, I break down too much on the minutiae and definitely affects the performance. Yeah. So that's a kind of, and that's where you've got to get the balance right. Because, you do have to work on those details, but you never know what those details are really until you actually show the trick to someone. Because we can work on the wrong thing, right? So, and this is the same thing, because we can put it off because we're so worried that it won't look good. It's all that stuff. We won't look clever. We might have bigged ourselves up, and what if we get the Elsley count wrong and we expose that face-up card? And that stuff happens to everyone. I've seen amazing magicians fumble and not get a pharaoh and all this kind of stuff. So it's accepting that. But I think it's a really good thing. When I just edited the review of Harapan Ong's latest book, a small book, The Four Treasures. It's beautiful. And do watch the review, because I've just spent ages. It's a nightmare to edit. Because like an idiot, I thought, oh, I'm going to demonstrate all the tricks in it, and just kind of went, oh, this is really hard. But I took a trick out there, and I can say this on there, that uses a double facer. And when I took it out and showed someone, I'd been working on this kind of this pinky count with 3 cards, and that was the bit I'd worked on and gone back to basics with. And I didn't realise that there was a moment when I was exposing the double facer. And that moment wasn't anything that I would have known in the mirror. It was just the way I sort of gestured at one point and exposed it. And the weird thing happened is, weirdly enough, is that they did call me out on it, but they didn't say that's a double face card. They said, oh, I saw the other card then. So in their head, they processed it as having 2 cards in hand. And I just kind of went, oh, I've got 2, sorry, and just started again. And it kind of flew. But that's a different thing. But the interesting thing was I'd worked really, really hard, like you say, on the minutiae, on this kind of thing, and I've got to get the pink because they're going to see that. And then realised, and actually only after showing someone did I know exactly the thing I've got to work on. And it's the gesture with this hand and the timing. But I wouldn't have known that with a video camera, maybe, but the camera's at a weird angle as well. And so again, we need to kind of get it to a point where we're pretty sure it's okay. And you obviously don't expose anything, and then go back and carry on the feedback loop and the work. Message me on Slack, yay, all that, nice. Magic Adam, how you doing? And the steak knives, what's all this? Oh, I can't get. I was just going to read all of them then. Self-awareness comes with age, Steve. It does. It does, Alan. It does come with age, but it also comes with work, I think, because I think if you have to kind of decide to do the work, I think, because a lot of people, I think, they think they're self-aware, but they haven't really, they don't listen to feedback. That's the classic thing, the whole 360 feedback. It's such a useful thing to do. At work, you get people in your teams to give you anonymous feedback, and it can be hard, but it's such a learning curve. Learning thing. Sharing is good. Identifying traits and acknowledging said traits and what works and what doesn't. Absolutely, I reckon too. We've got a great new quote. A balance between ego and being larger in life. Trick in the bedroom, pick a card. Yeah, brilliant. That is interesting. The balance between the ego and being larger in life. There's a healthy side to ego. All right, there is. Of course, there's a lovely feeling you get when you perform, or you do something good for someone, or you do something. That's fine. It's just whether it gets to a point where it's getting out of hand. I think that's it. There's a crossover between ego and narcissism, and I think it can go both ways. We can almost have not enough self-belief and self-esteem to think that everything we do is terrible, which I've definitely been there. But then in certain contexts, we can have that thing of everything we do is great, and again, I think I've been there with magic. I always tell the story of thinking my coin vanish was great. And it was sometimes, but I saw myself on video performing to lay people, and there was windows all over the place. I might as well just be holding it there, and they were just being polite, And so, to be honest about that stuff is just the Royal Road. That's brilliant. Oh yeah, Samuel, it's tough. Don't want to spoil magic for them, but my family have had to endure a lot of bad magic. Yeah, well, that's families, isn't it? That's what they get. They get the reward of your lovely company for the price of watching loads of bad magic tricks. That's absolutely. Oh, good call, Magic Adam. You've just said something, which is really relevant to this, which I know you haven't said it because of this, but it's just reminding me of something. Magic Adam said need to network more. I've put a lot of thought into networking. Networking is a very powerful thing to do. But some people do it wrong. I don't see it in magic, I do see it in magic in a different way, but I see it a lot in business where I've been to networking events, and they're really powerful things, because great. It's a great way to spread awareness. Do magic trick, people remember you as a magician. It's brilliant. But I've had it at networking events because of the leadership stuff I do, where people have literally pinned me against a wall and been, I do this, do you want a business card? And they're selling to me, and the context is just totally wrong. And my approach to networking is be there, be a nice person, be yourself and just enjoy yourself. Have conversations with people. Of course, put a bit of effort in if there's someone that specifically you think would be really good to talk to. But the minute you kind of do that, what we're talking about here, you try too hard, you get that desperate sell, people just close down. You need to have a conversation. And what you do for a living and what your business is and all that stuff will just come out. And if it comes out naturally, and like you said, you can be deliberate about the people you talk to and be honest about that. I really want to talk to you because I think you'd be great, So, be authentic with it. But it's a really good example of, networking in magic. Just be yourself. People will respond to you as a human being way more than the amount of tricks that you know. And, we've all been there where, someone says, oh, I'll show you a trick. And you're great, I'd love to see a trick. And then half an hour later, they're just showing you 500. And it's like, I can't even perceive this anymore. It's kind of, I'm done. Which is, again, different from having a session. It's a very different thing. So it's tough to I think I've missed a little. Let's have a look. I agree with the networking part for sure, but as an older magician re-entering the hobby, it's difficult to find without being an old creepy guy. Or ask about material. Yeah, I don't know. Ask about material, I don't know. I think, Dane, it's this thing. I think sometimes I get, like self-conscious about age and things like that. And if you're not creepy, you won't be creepy. Just to be a decent person. And I think that networking, if you're talking about doing magic tricks, think about how I always think, if you're gonna, I'd like to show magic to people if I'm asked, and if I'm not asked, I think actually it'd be really cool to show these people a trick. But maybe it's not the right context, but if they see it, they might book me. I'm not saying to do it my way, but I tend to be a person first and magician next. To say, look, my in is usually, I'm just working on this, I'm a magician, I'm just working on this trick. Do you mind if I'll show you something? And do it as like they're doing, you think, oh yeah, all right. Or just drop it in the conversation that but again, it's got to be, for me, I think there's an authenticity to it. Hey Dave, how you doing? Dave Anik. Magic Adam, I'm now at a point where I need to share all my show reels, marketing videos and send my emails out to potential clients. What's the best advice to actually get some gigs flowing? Well, all right, all I can do, and I've got to be very careful with advice because I don't know all I'm doing is sharing my experience, which is going to be different from other people's experience. The biggest way I think, and magicians have been saying this for ages. Bill Malone talks about this on the Loose DVDs, which are the best magic DVDs you can get on the planet. All right. If you do magic to people that book magicians or book entertainers and they like the magic, you'll get the gig. You need your show reels, he says, never have. I'm shocking. I would have gone way more work if I'd have had a decent show reel, but I was just rubbish. But, so do as I say, not as I do. Obviously, you need your show reel, but I would make everything you're doing, again, look as authentic as possible. People know that you can cut a good show reel. Get those responses on show reels. Make it more about the response, I think, than the tricks themselves. But obviously, you want to show a couple of things. But I think, again, there's a lot of research on this. You will get jobs a lot of the time because of who you are and not what you do. Obviously, because think about this. And again, I'm talking about experience. You go and get a gig doing anything. What you want to say to the people is, I'm brilliant. I'm really brilliant. That's what you want to book me. I'm brilliant. So then you work back from that and go, right, how do I say that in a way that's palatable? And the best way you can do it is to show them, and then they make the decision, because it might be that you're not what they're looking for, and that's completely fine. But just go, this is what I do, and there's a real freedom to that. And this goes to that trying too hard thing as well. Again, with leadership training and working with organisations, I was really self-conscious sometimes because I learnt it through becoming a trainer, and then I did the research. I've never run businesses, so other than my own, but organisations. But what I did is I learned how to train people to do it, and I was really self-conscious about that. And then what I did is I started being really honest. So when I first started doing it, I kind of put on a front and I was like very business-like. And now I just kind of went, you know what, this is what I do. All that I care about is that it works. If you think it works for you, we'll do it. If not, that's totally fine. Somebody else will book me. And I think with magic as well, it's like, this is the way I do it. And don't try and be the next whatever. Just go, this is the way I do it. If you've got good magic and you're a nice person, they'll want to work with you. if you really try too hard and try and be super funny and super, one-to-one where it's a bit weird, just kind of, and say to them, I'll come and give me a group of people and I'll come and show you something if you want to, and just be really honest about it. And I think that's the way you get gigs flowing. And then do all your stuff like following up, emailing people, reminding them who you are, but you've got to have the work first to speak for itself. And that was my problem. I did all the marketing reading before I was really much good. So I then went backwards and went and did a load of gigs. I wasn't rubbish, don't get me wrong, but then I just worked on my chops, worked on my performance, and then hopefully it speaks for itself. But do all those things you've got to do. If you're doing a little show anywhere, like I did my little show here, and I put it on and I contacted the papers, did all the PR, and just it's all about awareness. But you're doing the right thing, show reels, marketing videos, send my emails out. That's it. And listen to the people like Seth Godin, read books on marketing. But, you don't have to be the sort of the spammy guy and either, but there you go. Love your honesty. Thanks. Matthew, hi, Stephen. Good to see you. Do you have a trick using a flow chart? I've got many tricks using flow charts, but no, I haven't, but I'm sure I will have at some point, especially after this show that I'm writing, because there's lots of, there's not charts in there, but, right. So, blimey, 27 minutes. So, any questions? I hope that was useful. But again, if you're talking about marketing and stuff, just feel your way. Start doing it and you'll find, get feedback. And I think that's your lot. Thanks for coming, everyone. Again, please like and subscribe. And if you like my videos, these Monday ones, because they're a little bit more sort of open, and I think that if you think, they might help someone, someone's getting into magic, or you just want to share them on Facebook, just one share just makes a massive difference. Now, a couple of people shared this before, so thank you so much. And it's just huge for me, because if it kind of keeps on working, I can keep doing it. And if you want to come back on Thursdays, live at 5 o'clock on Thursdays, and obviously do all the good stuff, and check out cardmagiccourse.com and go to cardmagiccourse.com/cull, CULL, for a free course on the spread cull, the best move in card magic, if you ask me. But have a great one. All right. Take care. See you later. Thanks loads. Bye.